So we went uptown with Rob, and went to Oasis, and went in there and sat down. And people started moving things off the counter and looking at us like we were something out of space. They had a little hole there, I call it a hole in the wall, where black people went to get served and walk out on the street, you know.
Coming down the street in town, we'd be coming down in line in the file, and they would start locking the doors of these different lunch counters, closing down altogether. Just declare business closed until we left. Strong group of people started forming on the streets, and they said I should be killed.
(1961) was the fourth summer in a row that Robert Williams and the NAACP in Monroe had tried to integrate the swimming pools. So they kept showing up the pool with their shorts and their towels, and they did it over and over again. And you know, one time they went out there and they're standing around with their signs, you know, protesting the fact that that this pool is supported by tax funds and they're not permitted to use it, and people shot at them.
The shots that I remember came from across the other side of the creek, which was down the hill from the swimming pool, and there was this creek, and they were on the other side of the creek firing as you could hear the bullet whizzing over our heads, you know.
Chief of police was standing there. I asked him, did he hear these bullets? He said, no, he didn't hear anything. I told him, well, that was good. But I was glad to know that he didn't hear very well, because when we started shooting, he wouldn't hear it either.
We were coming up 601, and we reached the top of the hill at I think it was a Hilltop Cafe or something. This car comes out into the road and hits us, you know. And I think they were waiting for us because there was a lot of people there.
The police were there, supposedly directing traffic and ignoring the fact that the mob was closing in on Rob's car with the teenagers. And Rob saw that the police was not going to intervene to help them, and so he stepped out of the car and asked one of the teenagers in the back to pass him his rifle.
When they saw that we were armed, the crowd kind of, you know, held up. And then that's when the police got involved, because they were there all the time and saw what was going on, but they never moved until they saw we had weapons. And they wanted to come and take our weapons away, and Rob said, no, I ain't gonna give up my gun unless they give up theirs.
And I put the rifle in the face, so we're not gonna surrender to any mob. Then there was an old man out there that started crying. The man was just crying like a child, like a baby. He said, what is this country coming to? He said, the goddamn niggas got guns, and the police can't even arrest them.
And so that's where he got the title, Negroes with Guns.
Phone calls that would come throughout the night, oftentimes, where people would call and they would make threats. But they were pretty consistent as we increased our civil rights activities. And then things got to the point where threats were being made, that people were threatening to bomb the house. There were times when people would come by the house and shoot guns.
You have to understand that in the years between, say, 1957 and 1961 in Monroe, there were Klan rallies with as many as 15,000 people in attendance. And it was dangerous. They were constantly under attack. And the Klan was large and violent, and it killed other people.
By 1961, the aggressive approach to local rights problems had brought violence to Monroe. And Williams and his followers had strayed farther away from the main line of Negro thinking. These incidents awakened the concern of moderate whites and Negroes alike. The Ku Klux Klan and other segregationist groups began taking a greater interest in the Monroe situation, too. In line with his policy of armed self-defense, Williams organized Negro gun clubs. The town of Monroe was becoming a potential powder keg, an incident waiting to happen.